by Avo Technology.
When a man was getting ready for work, he discovered something strange. The computer game started running automatically, and the character wielded a large machete, engaging in a massacre at a hotel. In reality, a similar massacre occurred at a hotel. This was the plot of Russia's most powerful anti-online gaming addiction movie in 2024. Igor, an avid gamer, didn't pay much attention initially when the game character's eyes emitted a red light on his birthday. His girlfriend gave him a carefully prepared gift, a shotgun. Igor was satisfied and casually put a bullet in his pocket. Preoccupied with gaming, he treated his girlfriend with indifference. They prepared breakfast with stale bread and milk. Igor's girlfriend, concerned about his gaming obsession, tried to advise him, but Igor brushed her off. Just as they were about to eat, the doorbell interrupted them. Igor opened the door to receive a game recently developed by a gaming company. He managed to experience from a friend before its official release, a fatal temptation for a gaming enthusiast. Igor quickly prepared to play the game, completely ignoring his girlfriend's feelings. He even failed to thank her for the prepared breakfast. Igor felt his girlfriend was too demanding and believed it affected his gaming experience. Enraged, his girlfriend left the house. However, strange things happened soon after. Igor, preparing to go out, found the computer, which had been turned off, restarting the game. After changing clothes, he noticed the character in yellow pants automatically initiating a massacre at a hotel. Igor was puzzled by the game's automatic startup ritual. Shortly after, a friend called and informed him of a massacre at a hotel entrance, sending him a live video. When Igor approached the computer, he discovered that the scenes in the video mirrored those in the game. Was it just a coincidence? As Igor contemplated, the character in the game on standby raised its hand to greet him. As the police were fully engaged in investigating a heinous murder, Igor received information from an eyewitness describing the appearance of the perpetrator. The assailant was wearing yellow pants and brandishing a machete while being heavily wrapped up. Igor became even more convinced that the hotel massacre was likely the work of a character from a video game. However, when he shared this with his friends, they vehemently disagreed. Some even thought that Igor had become obsessed with the game. Meanwhile, Jera became intrigued by their conversation. Igor, noticing that the police were interested in his account, started describing the suspect based on the in-game character's features. He even wanted to prove that the in-game massacre had crossed into reality. His friends emphasized that Igor had lost his mind, but the police considered him a suspect and took him in for questioning. Igor was at a loss. Unbeknownst to him, the game had switched scenes, and in reality, a police car was steadily advancing while a group of insurgents in a pickup truck were closing in. When his friend noticed the truck behind them, the insurgents were about to ram the police car. At this moment, Igor also realized that in the game, a pickup truck was chasing the police car. Eventually, the insurgents successfully stopped the police car, and they swiftly abducted Igor's friend. Simultaneously, in the game, a corresponding storyline unfolded. Igor tried to intervene, but found that no matter what keys he pressed, he couldn't affect the game's content. All the visuals switched to a basement scene, where his friend was taken. Igor received a system message accusing him of violating the game's rules by leaking its content to others. Consequently, the system decided to punish him. His friend was restrained in a chair, limbs secured by steel nails. He had to defeat the boss within a specified time frame, or his friend's body would be pierced by nails. As Igor regained control of the game character, he attempted to exit the game, but found that none of the keys worked. The boss unleashed a powerful attack, and Igor had to control the character and endure the assault. As the health bar rapidly decreased, steel nails continued to puncture his friend's body. Ultimately, with the game character on the brink of death, Igor lost to the boss due to his unfamiliarity with the game. As a result, his friend's life came to an end. Once Igor snapped out of his daze, he hastily called the police. However, when he tried to relate the events from the game to reality, the police treated him like a madman, even suspecting him of making a false report. Frustrated and helpless, Igor hung up the phone At this point, the game interface switched to a banquet scene. Igor immediately thought of his parents celebrating their wedding anniversary. Igor was horrified and quickly called his father to warn him about the impending bloodshed. However, despite his warnings, his father didn't believe his unreliable son and didn't want to interrupt the celebration. As his father left for the event, the game character unexpectedly confronted him, and the pickup truck that had previously abducted Igor's friend was also on its way. Igor realized the danger approaching and knew that the police wouldn't believe him. But when he tried to go to the banquet, he found himself locked inside his own home. Igor had no choice but to call his contacts for help, but everyone concluded that he was going insane. During this time, the characters from the game started taking action, and the pickup truck arrived at the restaurant where his parents were celebrating. As the countdown in the game reached its conclusion, Igor could only watch helplessly as his parents were kidnapped by the game characters and taken to the same underground basement where his friend had been held before. This time, the game characters played a video showing Igor the condition of his parents and condemned him as a social misfit who never cared about his friends' feelings. They accused him of deceiving his parents about going to school while actually squandering his tuition fees. The game characters decided to give Igor one chance. They informed him that his parents had only 2 hours left to live, and he could only save one of them by pressing a button in front of his computer. Both of his parents were suspended by ropes with a footrest under their feet. When the timer started, Igor couldn't keep his composure. He tried switching between the buttons to prolong his parents' lives. Suddenly, his mental state crumbled, and he gave up on the rescue attempts. After regaining his composure, Igor discovered that one of his parents' feet was barely touching the footrest, while the machine continued to run. Soon, both of his parents' feet were hanging in the air. In agonizing pain, Igor prepared to make a choice. But when he reached for the control button, it unexpectedly detached. In the end, he watched in horror as both of his parents were hanged, realizing that he had a chance to save one of them but couldn't. At this point, the game characters targeted Igor's girlfriend. Igor noticed that the computer game began to play out every move of his girlfriend, and the game characters were nearby. In a hurry, Igor called his girlfriend and urged her to leave the company. However, his girlfriend thought that Igor was suffering from paranoid delusions due to excessive gaming. Nonetheless, she decided to follow his advice and left the building. As Igor looked outside, he saw someone waiting at the entrance, and even the taxi drivers were game characters. When his girlfriend got into a taxi parked at the entrance, Igor immediately asked her to get out. His girlfriend was puzzled, but complied with his request. Then, when his girlfriend got out of the car, the taxi driver followed her. His girlfriend, now convinced by Igor's urgency, even though she was wearing high heels, began sprinting down the street. She quickly reached the bottom of her boyfriend's apartment building. Igor, in his agitation, almost fell off the rooftop, but managed to grab onto a water pipe. He held on until his girlfriend came to his rescue. After Igor was rescued and he and his girlfriend took refuge inside the apartment, the doorbell suddenly rang and Igor looked at the door with caution. It turned out to be a security guard who had heard about Igor's terrifying ordeal and came to check on him. However, when Igor cautiously opened the door, several strong men barged in and overpowered him. At this moment, the kidnappers handed the computer to Igor and demanded that he compete in a game against the kidnappers present. The objective was to score the highest points within a specified time frame. If Igor didn't win, the kidnappers would believe that he didn't care about his girlfriend's life. The outcome was inevitable. Igor's game suddenly paused, and the system demanded that he confess to a dirty secret he had kept from his girlfriend. Several months ago, his girlfriend's boss had a private meeting with Igor. The boss had learned about her pregnancy, and as a high-ranking executive in the company, her absence due to maternity leave would affect the progress of company projects. To avoid potential losses, the boss offered Igor a substantial sum of money to persuade his girlfriend to terminate the pregnancy. However, his girlfriend was eagerly looking forward to the arrival of their child, and direct negotiations had no effect. So, Igor came up with a sinister plan. He secretly put abortion pills in his girlfriend's daily water glass, gradually causing the loss of the unborn child. The generous payment from his girlfriend's boss supported Igor's daily expenses and gaming. When his girlfriend heard this heartbreaking truth, tears welled up in her eyes. She never expected that the man she loved would be so money-driven. Throughout their relationship, she had never asked for any gifts or financial support from Igor. All she had received in return was betrayal. Now, Igor deeply regretted his actions and was determined to save his girlfriend's life. He focused intensely on the game, striving to achieve the highest score. However, he ultimately finished in second place. After Igor opened his eyes, he found himself locked in an underground cell. He was then ordered to enter another room. To his surprise, this room was an exact replica of the game's scene, and the game characters were present, with one of them holding a notebook and recording something. Igor turned around, confused by the situation, only to find that the people he believed had been killed by game characters were now standing orderly in front of him. Igor couldn't comprehend the game planner's intentions. Soon, someone explained the truth to him. From the moment the boss from his girlfriend's company approached Igor, he had been involuntarily thrust into a test. Igor's parents had strong objections to their son's self-indulgent lifestyle, so they, along with Igor's girlfriend, had orchestrated a series of trials. Even his girlfriend's pregnancy had been faked, all to make Igor realize the importance of his conscience and prompt a change in his way of life. Everything that had happened in the last few days was fake, including the gun his girlfriend had given him, which had no bullets. However, they had forgotten that Igor had unintentionally placed a bullet in his pocket. While the old man lectured Igor on improving himself, Igor raised the gun and, despite the persuasive words of those around him, pointed it at himself. After a gunshot rang out, the person in yellow pants emerged from the basement, revealing Igor's face. The movie ended at this point.
Powered by Avo Technology.